It started like any other day. I was working late at Lincoln High, finishing up some grading before heading home. It's funny how quickly things can go wrong when you're alone. You think you know a place, its creaks, its shadows, its quiet. But then one night, it feels different. Like the building itself has changed while no one's looking. I teach English here, or at least I did back then. That night I stayed later than usual because there'd been rumors about budget cuts, layoffs. I wanted to make sure my lesson plans were perfect, something they couldn't argue with. But by 9 p.m., the halls were silent except for the hum of the vending machines down the hall and the occasional groan of the pipes. At first, I thought it was just me hearing things. You know how it is when you're tired. Every sound becomes exaggerated. But then I heard it again. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from somewhere upstairs. I told myself it was probably Mr. Harper, the janitor. He always worked late, except he'd already left. I saw him pack up his cart and head out around 7:30. So who else could it be? I grabbed my phone and called the main office. No answer, just that dead tone you get when no one's picking up. My heart started racing, but I tried to stay calm. Maybe someone had forgotten something, a book, their keys, and came back to grab it. Logical, right? But logic doesn't hold up when you hear whispers. They weren't loud enough to understand, just murmurs floating through the vents or maybe the walls themselves. And then the intercom crackled to life. At first, nothing, just static. Then, the last bell. That's what we call it, the final bell of the day. Only it shouldn't have rung, not this late, not without anyone pressing the button. And that's when I realized the door to my classroom was locked from the outside. Panic set in. I banged on the windows, screamed for help, but no one came. Of course not. It was just me in the building, or so I thought. Then I saw them, outside the window, figures moving in the darkness beyond the glass. Kids, maybe 5 or 6 of them, standing perfectly still, staring in at me. Their faces, pale, hollow. One of them raised a hand and pressed it flat against the glass. When I turned back to the door, it was open, wide open. I don't remember unlocking it. I don't even remember touching the handle. But there it was, inviting me into the hallway. I didn't want to go. God, I didn't. But staying in that room felt worse, like whatever was out there would come in if I didn't leave. So I stepped out. The air was colder in the hallways, colder than it should have been. My breath fogged in front of me, and the fluorescent lights buzzed erratically. Every step I took echoed too loudly, like the sound was being amplified. And those whispers, they were closer now, clearer. "Help us," they said, over and over again. "Help us." I ran, down the stairs, past lockers smeared with graffiti, toward the exit. But the doors wouldn't budge. None of them. They were sealed shut, like the building itself had turned against me. And that's when I saw her, standing at the end of the hall, a girl in a torn cheerleading uniform, her face streaked with dirt. She looked familiar, though I couldn't place her. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Instead, the words appeared in my head, clear as day. "They're still inside." Before I could react, she pointed behind me. I turned, and that's when I saw them. All of them. Dozens of kids filling the hallway, spilling out of classrooms. Their eyes were blank, their movements jerky, unnatural. Some carried backpacks, others clutched textbooks. All of them stared at me with that same hollow expression. I don't know how I got out. One moment I was surrounded, and the next I was outside, gasping for air. The parking lot was empty, the streetlights flickering. When I looked back at the school, all the windows were dark, silent, like nothing had happened. The police searched the school that night, found nothing, no signs of forced entry, no evidence anyone had been there besides me. But I know what I saw, what I heard, and sometimes late at night, I swear I can still hear the whispers, calling my name.
There are places in schools no one thinks about until it's too late. The boiler room, the old storage closets, the basement. My first real job after college was IT at my old high school. The basement office was this weird little sanctuary, mini fridge, AC that actually worked, and a TV always tuned to Judge Judy reruns. That's where I was when hell came knocking. The text came at 12:37 p.m. Armed intruder reported. Full lockdown initiated. I laughed. We'd done drills every semester. Then, total darkness. Not like a power outage. Like someone wanted it dark. The air got heavier somehow. That basement smell of mildew in old textbooks, suddenly sharp with, was that gun oil? 18 minutes. That's how long I sat frozen. Every sound magnified. The drip of a leaky pipe, the creak of the building settling, then something new. He wasn't running, wasn't panicked, just exploring. Every few steps he'd stop, listening. I realized I was holding my breath. When the stairwell door creaked open, I finally smelled it. Cheap mint gum and something medicinal. His shoes made the sweat squelch like he'd walked through blood upstairs. That's when my phone buzzed. Dave's text lit up the desk. Shooter in red plaid. Buckley down. He's heading. The message cut off. Right as the office doorway filled with shadow. Judge Judy, huh? My ex-wife loved the show. His hand grazed my shoulder, ice cold despite the basement heat. You tech guys know all the exits, maybe one without cameras? The way he said cameras, like he'd studied them. Shame about Mr. Buckley. He shouldn't have recognized me. When the gun clicked, I didn't think, just moved. The bullet sparked off a server rack, illuminating his face for half a second. That's what haunts me most. He was smiling. The cops found him in the parking lot. Buckley survived. Case closed, except... Funny thing, his alibi checked out for the first shooting. Security footage shows him entering after the lockdown started. That notebook they found had my class schedule, my coffee order, and a list titled Judge Judy episodes to discuss. But here's what they never explained. Why did the basement door alarm fail that morning? How did he know about the blind spot by the servers? And why? Does someone still call the office every Wednesday at 12:37 p.m., right when Judge Judy comes on?
Last period math with Mr. Thompson was usually the highlight of my day. No tests, just trivia games. My friend Jake had just guessed the Nike logo wrong when it happened. The intercom beeped abruptly, cutting to the chatter and laughter. The announcement was short and urgent. Teachers, initiate lockdown procedures immediately. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. The lights went off so fast I saw spots. That's when I noticed something worse. The classroom door hadn't fully latched. There was a half-inch gap, and through it, I could hear footsteps. He wasn't running. He wasn't yelling. He was just testing doors every few seconds. Another locker punched, coming closer. Then I heard his voice for the first time. A sing-song voice, almost playful, but dripping with menace. "Ready or not," he sang, "here I come." Those words sent chills down my spine. The doorknob started to tremble slightly. Outside, dirty fingers slid under the gap, dragging something dark across the floor. It glistened faintly in the dim light. Nobody spoke. We were all frozen. Then came the knocking. Loud, direct, not on the lockers this time, on our door. Each knock made the silence between them feel heavier, more suffocating. Mr. Thompson whispered to us, his voice trembling. "Don't breathe, not a sound." He covered our mouths with his hands, but I could tell he was just as scared as we were. I could barely breathe. Through the gap, I could see those dirty fingernails scraping something sticky along the tiles. It looked like blood, or maybe something worse. Something I didn't want to understand. All I knew was that he was right there, on the other side of that thin wooden door. After that, everything became a blur. When the police arrived, They said the intruder had vanished. No clear evidence of who he was or how he got out. But the janitors found strange things in the supply closet. A half-eaten sandwich, a water bottle, and a crumpled note. The note read, "Third period was too loud, 7th period perfect." It was as if he'd been watching us the whole time, planning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They replaced all the doors with steel ones after that, installed security cameras everywhere, held mandatory drills. But sometimes, when the hallways are empty, the janitors still find little handprints under the doors, always at 1:55 p.m. Today, while reviewing security footage, I noticed something strange. A locker at the end of the hallway was vibrating slightly, as if someone inside was pressing against it, but there was no one there. Is he still watching us?